Hello everyone and welcome to week 11. In this week we're finishing up chapter 9, and for the programming exercise that I thought we could go through, I thought this one, number 6, would be a good example because 7 and 8 are your assignments for the week. Okay, so let's go through number 6. All right, so basically we're going to be computing the volume of this structure. Okay, and to do that we're going to have 5 different functions. Do input output to get all of our inputs. Then we'll get house volume, living volume, roof volume, and triangle area. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this. So here we're getting house volume, and we're going to have a do input output function according to the assignment, and then we're going to need these 5 functions. Okay, so I'm just going to stick these here. We don't need a defining table. Okay, and we have all this. We'll look at that. All right, and then here's all the specific information about these. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that right there and that right there. I'm going to save this as 9.6. Okay, so we have this house volume here, and let's do this. So it looks like we're going to need the first function takes no parameters. It's called from the onClick attribute, gets 4 numbers from the user, and then it calls the house volume function. Okay, so we're going to need 4 values from the user, the sweep, height, depth, and width, it looks like. So in here, I'm going to copy this 3 times, and in here I'll just say width. All right, so we have our width, and then we'll need our depth, and then height, and then sweep. Okay, and then in here, I'm going to need 4 here as well. So I'm just going to highlight this and hit Control D 3 times, and then copy all those, and then replace these values with them. Okay, and I'll just name these the same variables as well. All right, and then let's see here. If we come back to this, it says takes no parameters, calls the house volume function, displays house volume to the user. Okay, so we need to make these other functions. So I'm going to come in here and say function. You know what? Actually, let's go like this. Copy all of these. All right. Okay, so we have these functions made now. And then I don't need this message. So do input output is supposed to call house volume. And house volume is going to need all 4 of these values. All right, so we'll just say width, depth, height, sweep. Okay, and so house volume will take in these 4 values. And then in here, let's look. So the second volume takes 4 parameters, calls the living volume function, calls the roof volume function, computes the house volume by adding the 2 of them, and returns the house volume. Okay, so in here I'll say return well, let's break it up a little bit. So I could say var calculated living volume equals, and then I'll call living volume, and then we're also going to call roof volume. So here I'll say calculated roof volume, and then I will return calculated living volume plus calculated roof volume. Okay, but these are each going to need several parameters. Okay, and we're leaving all these variable names the same, so I can just copy them over here like that, because that's what they are in here as well. Okay, and so let's see what else we have to do. Third function, living volume, takes 3 parameters, which we have, computes and returns the volume of the living space. Okay, so living volume is just the 3 multiplied by each other, so I can just return width times depth times height, Okay, let's look at our fourth one. Takes 3 parameters, calls the triangle area function, computes and returns the area of a triangle. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to return triangle area, and then I'll say sweep. Let's see what triangle area needs. Triangle area takes 3 parameters, computes and returns the area of a triangle. All right, so for this triangle area, our sweep in this case is going to be the same for 2 sides of our triangle. And then we'll have our depth as well. So for here, I'll just put sweep, sweep, and depth. And then we're going to end up multiplying that times the width to get the entire roof volume. Okay, and then the triangle area, we have A, B, and C, which is basically the 3 sides of the triangle. Okay, so I'll say, according to S, we'd say, or to this triangle area function up there, we'd say var S equals A plus B plus C divided by 2. Okay, and that would be basically the perimeter. And then we will return math.square root, and then let's do everything in there. So we have S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C. Okay, and then all 3 of these need to be in their own space as well. Okay, and that's what we'll return. So we have this being computed first, and then all that multiplied by S. So I guess we actually don't need those. And then taking the square root of all that. Okay, so we'll return that. That value will be returned to this, and then we'll multiply that by the width. And we'll return that to our living volume. Okay. All right. I think we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and save this. I'll copy the file path and run it. So let's say we have 20 by, let's see, this is our width. Depth, we'll say like 50, height is 15, and sweep is say 18. Okay, and that is the volume of this structure. Okay, and then maybe the only other thing that we might want to add is having little labels right here. So let me highlight these again. Copy that. Please enter a depth height sweep, and then we'll just add a break after all of them. Okay, so if I run this again, all right, and then I'm actually going to add one more break right there, just to give some space to the button. So width, let's say 10, say height is 10, sweep is 10, and depth is 10. Okay, and we get that value there. All right, so hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me just show you how this is going. I guess I can remove that temp paragraph. Okay, and let's look at this here. Okay, so do input output is where we're starting. So we get the tens, and then we're going to call house volume. I'm just going to put a breakpoint into each one of these. So house volume gets called, living volume gets called, and it returned a value of, what's it going to get? 1,000. Okay, so 10 times 10 times 10 gets the living volume, which is 1,000. And then the calculated roof volume, we have 10 and 10 and 10, and then calculate triangle sweep or triangle area. So we have 30 divided by 2. So some funky stuff's happening right here. And I think it's because this is way too big. So we forgot to do something very important. Every single one of these needs to get parsed. I thought those numbers were a little big. All right, let's try this again. Okay, we know those are good. And this, instead of being like over 10,000, there, that's a little bit better of a number. Okay, so there's our volume of our structure. I can remove this too. But there's a bunch of functions working together. Please let me know if I can help answer any questions. Uh, but here's how we can do that assignment. All right, so I hope that this was helpful, and I hope you guys have a good week.